All right, today we're going to dive into a really powerful way to think about dating. It's called Before the Butterflies, and it's all about trading that chaotic, anxious feeling for some real wisdom and peace. We're going to break down exactly how to make that shift. Wow, let's just start right there. This idea really cuts to the heart of so many frustrations in dating, doesn't it? It's that critical reminder to look past the flood of texts or the initial charm and to start asking, okay, but what's the intention here? This is where we move from just wanting validation to actually seeking wisdom. So that's the goal here. We're going to map out a totally different path. I mean, just imagine for a second, replacing all that confusion and anxiety that comes with dating with, well, a sense of calm, a sense of clarity. That's the playbook we're talking about today, one where peace is the ultimate goal. And, to even start building that playbook, we have to challenge one of the biggest myths in dating. And that's the whole idea of butterflies. This is the big question, isn't it? We're told our whole lives to trust the butterflies, that if you feel that nervous, tingly excitement, it must be right. But what if that feeling isn't the reliable guide we think it is? What if it's just, biology doing its thing? And yeah, this is where we get really clear. Those butterflies, they're a biological response. It's basically a cocktail of attraction and anxiety. It is not a sign from the universe. It's not a confirmation that you found the one. It's a chemical reaction, and that's it. And this isn't some new age idea. This wisdom is ancient. The point is that our feelings, our hearts, can absolutely lead us astray if they're not grounded in something more solid. When we chase that initial spark without any other input, we can end up totally blind to some major red flags down the road. So, okay, if our feelings aren't always the best guide, then what is? Well, this brings us to the absolute core principle of this whole thing, putting wisdom before feelings. Just look at this breakdown, it makes it so clear. Chemistry, that's the instant spark. It's exciting for sure, but it can be super misleading. But character, now that's a whole different ballgame. You don't see character on a first date. You see it over time, in their patterns. Are they consistent? Do their actions actually match up with their words? That's the stuff that matters. And this leads to a really important practice, submission before attachment. So before you let yourself get all swept up and emotionally invested, you first submit the whole situation to wisdom. For people of faith, that means submitting it to God. You're basically hitting pause and checking in with your core values before you let your feelings get in the driver's seat. Okay, so that's the mindset. But how do we actually do this in real life? Well, this is where two really important tools come into play: boundaries and pace. I absolutely love this metaphor. So often we think of boundaries as these big, harsh walls to keep people out. But they're not. Think of them like a door to your house. A door lets you decide who you let in and how far. It gives you a chance to look through the people and use some discernment before you just swing it wide open. And this right here is the magic of boundaries. It's not a test, it's a reveal. How someone reacts to your boundaries tells you everything you need to know. A person who respects you is going to respect your boundaries. Simple as that. But someone who pushes back, or complains, or tries to make you feel guilty, they're showing you that their desires are more important than your peace. And that is incredibly valuable information. This whole idea gets even stronger when you pair it with pacing. So, step one is just seeing that slowing down is an act of faith. It's trusting that what is truly for you won't disappear just because you're not rushing. And then, step two, that slower pace is what gives the truth time to come out. It lets you actually see someone's character. And that leads to step three, realizing that rushing is almost always about fear. Fear of being alone, fear of missing out. A steady, deliberate pace lets wisdom do its job. So let's pull all these ideas together into something super practical. Let's talk about a grown woman's playbook. These are the real, actionable rules for dating with this kind of wisdom. Just listen to these for a second. These are powerful. I do not audition for commitment. I do not ignore red flags to protect potential. Think about that one. No more making excuses for someone because of who you hope they'll become. This is all about operating from a place of self-respect, where your own peace is the number one priority. And on the flip side, here's your red flag checklist. We've got the obvious ones, like inconsistent communication or someone pushing your boundaries. But pay really close attention to that last one. How do you feel after you've been with them? If you walk away feeling more confused, more anxious, more unsettled,
That's it. That feeling is the red flag. Your intuition is trying to tell you something. Now, this is a super practical tool for getting your head straight. You have to know the difference between your standards and your preferences. Standards are your non-negotiables, things like integrity, emotional maturity, respect. Preferences are the nice-to-haves, height, hobbies, stuff like that. So the big question you have to ask yourself is, am I so focused on my preferences that I'm willing to negotiate on my actual standards? And what happens when you put all these pieces together? The wisdom, the boundaries, the pacing, the clear standards. Well, the result is a massive shift. Your entire experience of dating can literally go from a state of panic to a state of peace. I mean, this just says it all, right? Look at the difference. Dating with panic is all about confusion and anxiety. It feels like you're desperately trying to solve a problem. But dating with peace, that's about clarity. It's not about solving a problem, it's about stewarding a season of your life. You stop trying to prove your worth to someone because you're starting from a place of knowing your worth. And this quote is really the heart of everything we've talked about. Singleness is not some problem you need to fix as fast as possible. It's a season of your life to be stewarded. And that just means it's a time to be managed well, with real purpose and intention, not something to just endure while you wait for the next thing. So we'll leave you with this final question. It doesn't matter what your relationship status is right now, just take a second and ask yourself, are you stewarding the season of your life? Are you making choices from wisdom and peace or from panic and fear? That's a really powerful question to sit with.